What's going on YouTube? 008 here, and I'm about to react to Carnage versus Lucy. Lucy? Carnage versus Lucy. I was reading Elfen Lied and I said Lucy. Marvel versus Elfen Lied. If you know, I'm sure you guys know what Carnage is and Marvel is, especially if you're watching on my channel. But Elfen Lied is an anime, I don't know when it came out, maybe in the early 2000s or something. It's based on a manga about these chicks with these weird psychic powers, and they're kind of like elves mix, half elf, half human hybrid things, and they can, but it's just a really gory, gross anime where these science project little girls come out and they just hack people up. And there's more than one. I can't remember how many there are now. I haven't watched the anime in a long time. I watched it like a few years back now. Can't remember the story very well, but think of it this way: Stranger Things. There's a lot of elements from in Elfen Lied that's used in Stranger Things, you know. So yeah, the Duffer Brothers are obviously fans of Elfen Lied. If you know what Stranger Things is, if you watch Stranger Things. But anyway, I'm curious to see how Carnage does against Lucy. They can both, you know, materialize things. But Carnage's one is more physical. Lucy's materializing things in another dimension. You can't. There's hands, but you can't really see the hands. It's weird. It's like invisible hands that cut people up really gruesomely. But anyway, let's watch, and I'm sure they'll explain it better than I can. Hey
everybody, we have a brand new Death Battle t-shirt on the Screw Attack /Rooster Teeth store. Head to store.roosterteeth.com and you guys can pick one up. It's a great way to support the show.
Go. Curious to see this one.
If my ex-wives have taught me anything, it's that there's no real limit to crazy.
Like Carnage, Marvel's
I think Carnage is gruesome. Lucy is flipping gruesome.
Or Lucy, the messed up murder lady from Elfen Lied.
Elfen Lied. It's German.
Yeah, whatever. He's Wiz and
I'm saying Lied.
And it's our job to analyze who would win a death battle.
Oh, is that how they're doing that? It's gonna be weird though. She's not gonna be gory because Carnage's gonna die from one hit.
Well-adjusted adult, because his entire family was already crazy. While Cletus was just a boy, his father got sent to jail for killing his mother.
Which he did because she had tried to kill Cletus.
Which she did because Cletus had tortured and killed her dog Fifi.
What?
Go Miss Cassidy! All dog murderers
Why would you kill your son for
even
that?
if they're
I get it, but you wouldn't kill your son. You'd be pissed at your son.
Oh, and Cletus murdered his
son?
grandma too, because she's kind of a bitch.
He didn't stop there and wound up burning down his own orphanage. Years later, he was finally arrested and convicted for 11 murders.
You mean the 11 murders they knew about?
But while in
did
prison,
Venom in that
Cletus
cartoon.
found that he wasn't alone.
Carnage.
In fact, his cellmate just so happened to be Eddie Brock.
Who you may know is that creepy guy covered in black ink called Venom.
That ink is actually a symbiotic alien known as a Clintar. This symbiote bonded with Eddie, transforming him into a powerful and violent rival for the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
But what Eddie didn't know was it was pregnant. Oh, time to go out for cigarettes, Eddie.
Well, symbiotes actually reproduce asexually. When Eddie became Venom once again, the symbiote sort of oozed out its spawn and left it there.
Just like me and my dad. Well, this new symbiote immediately attached itself to Cletus, but unlike the Venom one, it merged through a cut on his skin, creating this suit made out of blood. Ew, that doesn't seem sanitary.
And together they became Carnage.
A fitting name for a psycho mass murderer. Cletus and his new symbiote quickly got up to what they knew best, creating maximum carnage. For that game, it was great.
And with his new superpowers, he was a vicious force to be reckoned with. He has the same superhuman strength, speed, and durability as Venom, and supposedly even greater, like a Venom 2.0.
He can shapeshift to make all sorts of killer weapons, like axes, swords, and spikes. He can even rip those weapons off himself or launch them at his victims. Have you ever tried ripping your fingers off and throwing them at people? Because that's just kind of what Carnage does.
The symbiote can also reach out with dozens of chaotic, blood-soaked tendrils, perfect for strangling the people he doesn't want to see anymore. With a single touch, Carnage can infect a person with a portion of his symbiote. controlling or torturing them at his leisure. He has unbelievable regeneration, and even if somebody finds a way to disable his suit, the Carnage symbiote lives inside his bloodstream and can come back out through something as meager as a paper cut.
Also, the symbiote literally sees everything around it. It's kind of like wearing a suit made of eyeballs.
Let's say you're able to dodge his projectiles, outrun the tendrils, and get out of sight from the eyeball suit. You're still not safe. He will catch you, because he can sprout wings and fly.
What the hell? Since when?
Since realizing that shapeshifting is a really, really useful ability.
So he's able to fly, he's totally aware of everything around him, and he's full of blood? This guy's like a giant mosquito of death.
Sure. Carnage has said he's at least 10 times faster than the average man. But that's pretty modest, because Venom has shown he can move fast enough to catch up to a bullet after it's fired. And Carnage is frequently shown to be as fast or even faster than him. This puts Carnage over 1,500 miles per hour, over twice the speed of sound.
He's lifted a 50-ton tank, and he can overpower Spider-Man, whose best supported strength feat was lifting that giant machine thing that weighed as much as a 1965 locomotive.
Which would put it around 130 tons.
Did you know those weird tendril things crawling around his body? When he wanted to find a missing journalist in New York, he climbed to the top of the Empire State Building and just stretched them all out over the city.
He found her by this coastline, and this building nearby looks a lot like the consolidated Edison plant between 14th and 15th Street. That's about 2 miles away.
And as a thank you for saving her, she shot Carnage in the head. Well, fine. Save your own ass next time, lady.
Hey, he was fine. Carnage's durability doesn't come from a sturdy build. Instead, his form is malleable and somewhat fluid. Technically, his human body still exists somewhere in that
Spider-Man 2099 or
biting tentacles, but even when he's hit by a train, struck by missiles, or blasted apart by a tritium bomb, he can always just pull himself back together.
So long as there's a piece of him still around. Given the size of that blast, it looks like Carnage survived a blast worth 125 tons of TNT.
Very impressive. Also, he once smothered and survived a gene bomb designed to wipe out all of humanity except mutants.
He's even survived being ripped in half and thrown into space. Seriously, what kills this guy?
Well, he does share the same weaknesses as other symbiotes, namely extremely loud noises and heat.
Well, until he traded the sound one for a weakness against some Cthulhu-looking magic.
Carnage has been through a lot, but with two minds as one, he always gets back up to keep doing what he loves.
Murder, murder, and, you know, more murder.
Damn. I wonder if he's going to be in the Venom film. What the hell did he just say? Carnage is...
There are some mysteries the world holds, which
this
no
is
one
gruesome.
is meant
This is
to
it's
know.
anime.
Every
Guys,
day,
if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's pretty
somewhere comes ever closer to destroying
It's really gory
everything
though.
you hold
If you don't like gore, probably won't
One
like it.
such secret is the Dicloni.
No big deal. They're just a race of crazy people who want to infect human beings to make more Dicloni and then wipe out all of humanity. Oh, look at the cute little hordes.
This might be the one episode where I'm more interested in the preliminaries than the actual fight, because stuff that I like.
Better known.
I've recently watched. I like
Luckily for
get
everyone,
re-updated
some
on
important
it.
people figured this out and captured
See,
her.
like, I
And
forgot
now
she was
it's time
18.
for your only warning.
Did I watch the whole anime? I don't remember her name being Cade.
Let's just say they're not for the faint of heart.
And let's also say that those lucky important
Wow, thanks for
people
watching,
are
yeah.
about to get very, very unlucky.
Snap.
Jesus Christ, what's happening?
To truly understand, let's take a step
That
back.
was raw.
As an infant, Lucy was abandoned by her parents and left alone to suffer a life of constant discrimination.
It was the horns, wasn't it?
Right, even the average kid hates growing up in an orphanage, but it was especially painful for her.
Until she found a stray puppy and decided to take care of it. That adorable little critter and her became best friends. And then the other kids from the orphanage went out and beat it to death and forced her to watch.
What?
Well, no
I remember
shit, she
all
wants
this.
to kill everyone. Go ahead, Lucy. Tear up those little bastards. Whoa! Damn.
This was the first time Lucy unleashed her psychokinetic vectors. As a Diclonius queen, Lucy is meant to use these vectors to infect ordinary human beings with the Diclonius virus.
Oh, but she uses them for so much more.
For simplicity's sake, think of the vectors as invisible arms which can sprout from Lucy's back.
Lucy can use up to 28 vectors with a normal range of about 6 to 7 feet. When she gets really serious, her horns grow and the vectors get way longer and stronger.
She can vibrate her vectors at different frequencies, and each level of vibration has different effects.
Kinda like that thing that my ex-wife had on the nightstand that I thought was one of those crazy pens.
At low frequencies, her vectors can pass through objects with no effect. At a medium frequency, the vectors become solid, like extendable hands, while still completely invisible. These can be used as shields and lift heavy objects.
Oh man, if I had those things, I'd be messing with people all the time. Like tying their shoes from across the room. Also, since this seems to be a thing in this episode, she can fly.
It's not really flying, she's just lifting herself off the ground. With the third frequency, Lucy turns her vectors into invisible blades. These can cut through people and bend metal.
And with the last and highest frequency, Lucy gets explosive. No, really, at this level, they finally become visible and can strike with enough force to detonate. Damn.
That's
they
from the
don't call
manga.
this chick the queen for
I think
nothing.
I've finished your anime.
Unfortunately,
It's right.
Lucy is not always in
Remember that.
control of what she does. Turns out she has developed several alternate personalities.
Yeah, getting shot in the head can do that to you.
That injury specifically created Mew, a passive, almost childlike persona which exists as a coping mechanism for Lucy's trauma. As Mew, Lucy would finally find friends, and began forging a path toward hopeless redemption.
Unlike her third personality, the so-called DNA voice, which constantly whispers in her ear that she's got a job to do. Kill them all, Lucy, before they hurt more puppy.
From a bullet after she had already been shot. As
What's
in,
like
while
Yagami
the
doing
bullet
in
was
this?
traveling between her skin and her heart.
It looks like she's getting shot by an MP5, which fires bullets at
Oh, yeah,
nearly
that's,
900 miles per hour.
But Dad,
With
he looks
her
a bit
body
younger
type,
in the
the
manga.
distance between Lucy's skin and heart is less than an inch, probably around 2.4 centimeters. Given the bullet speed and the distance her vector would have to reach from her back before the bullet hit her heart, her vector had to move nearly 1,900 miles per hour. That's over twice the speed of sound.
She can throw a pen through a guy's skull. Brutal. And even toss this giant boulder.
When compared to this guy, Bando, whom we know is 6 feet tall, we can determine the boulder weighs about 75 tons. Her vectors are also tough enough to block a missile from the Air Force. While the exact model of missile is unspecified, it is fairly large and likely an air-to-surface type.
I bet it's one of the Air Force's SLAMs, or Standoff Land Attack Missile, built off the back of the Navy's Harpoon missile. In fact, a harpoon is used against a different Diclonius at one point. So this piece slammed into her vector at 500 miles per hour with a 1,000-pound explosive yield, and it didn't even phase her. Even without a vector shield, she survived a pretty nasty explosion herself, though it did knock her out.
Impressive, but how about the time she punched through an island? A strike literally compared to nuclear fusion. This kicked up a 100-foot tidal wave and a 9.2 magnitude earthquake. A level so high, there's only been 4 comparable quakes ever recorded.
Her vectors can be as wide as buildings and reach into outer space, except that's
Definitely
about
not
where
listening
Lucy
to me.
reaches her limit.
Right. As a Diclonius, Lucy has a few severe weaknesses. Her vectors can be nullified if she's struck in the forehead, or if one of her horns are broken.
Also, if Lucy pushes herself too hard, she starts to melt. Kinda like ice cream out in the Texas sun. It's not pretty. She's just a big puddle of goop with a face, but she's still a total badass, even at her meltiest.
While suffering agonizing pain, she was capable of single-handedly halting a massive military threat, while healing and protecting the person she loved most. Perhaps redemption wasn't so hopeless after all.
Hey, let's watch her kill some more people.
Damn, I remember this fight. That fight was crazy. Some of the people. Oh my god.
Alright, the combatants are set. Let's end this debate once and for all.
The fact that Carnage can bring out the symbiote for his blood. Lucy can obviously do nuclear level stuff, so I just don't know how. But then I guess since she can do nuclear level explosions, I'm gonna put my money on Lucy winning this, because I think she'll just blow Carnage to smithereens to the point where he can't regenerate.
Super
So,
simple to cook.
unless it's regeneration like Deadpool. I don't know, could Deadpool regenerate from a puddle of blood? Probably. Carnage probably could. It makes more sense of Carnage to do that.
Part is feeling like a master chef making it's time for a death battle.
Here we go. My money's on Lucy. I think she'll blow Carnage up to bits so he can't regenerate, but we'll see. Ah, this is a mixture of animated drawings with sprites. So it's gonna be small, so sprites fighting. Yeah, that's a sprite. Nice mix. Nice mix of animation, I'm enjoying it. That's so sick how he comes back. Jesus. Lucy control those vectors control, like, they're subconsciously controlled, so. Those cuts, they really put emphasis on that. What, is Carnage gone inside her body or something? Is that what I can say? Symbiote's gone inside her bloodstream. That's what that is, isn't it? Carnage is gonna win. Double KO. Because you know that Carnage gonna, or is it gonna be Carnage wins, like, because he put himself in her blood? Watch, it's not over. Oh no, it is. Is it? Oh shit, it is. Damn, I was right. Reverse.
Then Cletus. Lucy really hates dog killers, and for good reason.
Carnage was a challenging opponent. It was incredibly difficult for Lucy to deal any lasting damage against him.
He had the durability advantage in the back.
To infect and control the people. He has only escaped vision through initial physical connection and can't do it so through his projectiles. Okay. That's why I couldn't do
Carnage
it.
was tough, but not invincible. Even his surviving that gene bomb isn't quite as impressive as it sounds. Since he had no other feats to even remotely back up planetary level durability, and the bomb was more akin to a biological weapon anyway. While Carnage's tendrils could pass speeds of Mach 2, Lucy's vectors once reached into outer space. By timing her accompanying monologue and comparing the longest vector's length to the curvature of the Earth, it's clear she reached over 2,400 miles in 20 seconds max.
Way longer than Carnage's 2-mile feet.
All this means her vectors were moving at least 440,000 miles per hour. More than 500 times the speed of sound, and 250 times faster than Carnage.
Good luck getting past that. And this was really the biggest hurdle. With Lucy's redonkulous speed and Carnage's healing powers, it all boiled down to one thing. Who could hit the killing blow first? I mean, Carnage could respawn from scraps, so the only way to beat him for good was to totally vaporize him.
And Lucy had the perfect answer to that. Remember that time she hit an island so hard she caused a 9.2 magnitude earthquake and a 100-foot tall tidal wave? Such a feat would require an enormous amount of explosive energy. Approximately 31,000 tons of TNT, similar to the bomb that hit Hiroshima.
It's literally compared to nuclear fusion in the Elfen Light manga.
Elfen lead, it's German.
The point is, in order to beat Carnage for good, Lucy needed to totally obliterate him, and she could do that.
The heat produced within the initial impact of a nuclear explosion can reach temperatures up to 180,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
And his
more
weakness
than
is heat.
18 times hotter than the surface of the sun. And to top it off, heat was Carnage's biggest weakness. Even if Lucy's explosive force was just a fraction
That's what I said,
it
you
would
should
still
blow
have
him
been
up.
far too much for him.
So I was right.
She just needed to smack him before he could power through her vectors, which chances were pretty slim for that happening anyway, because there's a bunch of them and they're so damn fast. Hitting Carnage with a big explosion punch was way easier.
Cletus and his symbiote may have had the endurance, but Lucy's space-worthy speed, overwhelming presence, and nuclear strength won the day.
She dealt the carnage needed for a total
winner
victory
is Lucy.
and took the lead. There, I said it right, Wiz. Happy?
The winner is Lucy.
Thanks for
Who's
watching,
next?
and if you enjoyed the fight, you can
I want to see who's next. Show me who's next.
Thank you, Chad. And if you want the battle music from this episode, you can get it in the link in the description below.
Oh,
You're not
what?
Chad.
Oh, Optimus Prime, hey! I have to watch this. Oh, it's fighting Gundam. Gundam Mobile Suit versus Optimus Prime. He's just gonna drag the guy out of the Gundam suit, and that's it. All Optimus Prime has to do is just take out Hero. That's the main. That's the guy. I'm assuming he's gonna pilot the Gundam suit. Just take Hero out and just kill him. That's all he's got to do. Surely, right? Anyway, we'll find out when we react to Optimus Prime versus Mobile Suit Gundam. If you liked my reaction of Carnage vs. Lucy, give me a like, subscribe, hit notification bell for notifications, and let me know what you guys think of the fight in the comments below, and I'll see you again. Peace.